Hello internets, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. You can call me 12 Pack, and the battle I have today is kind of a cool one I had against this guy called Lefty. Now a little history behind this battle before I get started. At the time this guy challenged me to battle, I didn't realize it, but once we started, I realized that this dude was actually somebody I'd played against before, like a long time ago, like when the game first came out. Due to the nicknames of his pokes, I recognized them. So, I didn't remember any of the sets he was running on anything, but I just thought it was kind of neat that I'd run into someone who wasn't even on my acquaintances list anymore for like the second time, because I've met like 75,000 to 80,000 players on Wi-Fi, and I just happened to run into this guy twice in a row, which I thought was kind of cool. And I also don't remember who won our first battle either, although I'm gonna venture that it probably was him, since I would have saved it if I had won, and there isn't such a battle in my VS recorder. But this one turned out to be pretty good, so let me get into the team preview here. My own team is pretty, how shall we put it? Well, it's sort of gimmicky. I'm running Galvantula for sticky webs, I know, right? No Shuckle for once. Wow, that's amazing. Truth is, I kind of got a little bored of Shuckle for a few games, so I ditched him for Galvantula. And then we have a Assault Vest Golurk, who's actually pretty decent, honestly. It's the Smogon's Choice Band set was what he was originally, but I found he was getting OKO'd way too often due to his horrendous speed. So I slapped an Assault Vest on him, and he actually turned out to be pretty good, so you'll see in this battle. Then we've got Utility Fortress, who's here to lay down hazards and use Rapid Spin. And then we have Sapsipper Miltank, who's my Cleric. And then we have a physically defensive, what the hell is this thing called? Alomomola. Now, I really like this thing's stats. It's the kind of poke I really enjoy using. But man, just from an aesthetic point of view, this has to be one of the more hideous Pokemon out there. Like, it's just god awful and like, ugh. I wish it looked more like the real world animal it's based on, the Mola Mola, which is a giant disc shaped fish that doesn't at all resemble a heart and certainly isn't pink. But it's actually a really good Pokemon since it has Regenerator and stuff like that. If only it could get Heal Bell, then I wouldn't have to bring Miltank. But anyway, last poke on the team is Butterfree. Woo! Now, Butterfree, pretty underrated threat. Um, he doesn't really do a whole lot this battle, but I had another one against an Uber Noober where I swept his entire team with Butterfree. Mewtwo, Ho-Oh, Lugia, they all stood no chance against the might of Butterfree. So you'll see sort of what he's capable of once we get into this here. Okay, so my opponent's team, he has a Latias or Latios. I don't know which one that is because I've never used it, but it's probably some sort of choice item holder with Draco Meteor regardless. Then we have Scizor, who going into this battle is probably going to be the biggest threat to my team since I'm fairly weak to fighting on both of my walls, and that Mega Horn is not going to be very good for a lot of my pokes either. Then we got Venusaur, and I was just really fearing this thing too because Mega Venusaur is extremely hard to kill unless you have some sort of psychic attack, which my Butterfree does, but it's Dream Eater, and I can't actually put Venusaur to sleep with Sleep Powder since it's immune to it. So that thing was going to be a big problem too, most likely. Then we have Aerodactyl, probably here to set up Stealth Rocks was my guess. Aegislash, which is actually what's keyed me in that I played this dude before, because the nickname he has for this thing is pretty freaking badass. You'll see it in a bit. And then finally, Noivern, who wasn't actually as big of a problem as I thought it was going to be going into this battle. So, without further ado, I'm going to get started here.
Lefties issue a challenge.
So I'm going to lead off with my Galvantula, which really was my best option. I wasn't even sure what to lead with, because his team is just so dangerous looking, but fortunately I get matched up against Noivern, and I'm able to get a Thunder off on it right away. I was actually very surprised I outsped it there, since Noivern is very fast, but I did, and he got Paralyze Haxed as well, so I'm able to 2-hit KO it on the following turn, which is nice. I could have set up sticky webs there, but I figured better get that thing out of the way while I can, in case it just happens to wake up and dump on me. So he sends out his Latius here, and is going to go for the Draco Meteor, just as I predicted. He was using the same poke in the first battle we fought, but I've got Focus Sash, so I'm going to be fine here, and figuring I might be able to do some heavy damage to it with the Bug Buzz, I went for that, and I was correct, but I didn't KO it. I initially went for that thinking I would be faster than him and then be able to KO him on the following turn, but that didn't really work out. So I'm going to go straight into my Fortress to resist the Draco Meteor, even though I have pretty low special defense. It's not really going to be a problem due to his special attack drops from using the Draco Meteor. So I'll just recover some HP with leftovers here and set up some hazards while he's forced to switch out. He's going to go right into his Scizor, which is a problem because if he has superpower, that'll be the early end of my Fortress. But I am able to get up Stealth Rock, so that's helpful. Now his Latius can't actually come back in without dying from the chip damage Stealth Rocks does. And it turns out he's got Brick Break instead of superpower, so that doesn't actually hurt me very much, and I'm just able to Volt Switch out of there without much of a problem. If I were him, I would have gone for Swords Dance, which most Scizors carry, but he didn't. And I'm able to chase him out with Golurk coming in here. He actually probably would have really been able to hurt me had he gone for some attacks, because Golurk has pretty terrible defense. But even with my buffed special defense with the Assault Vest, I do not want to be taking on this Venusaur. So I'm going to PTFO and go straight into my Miltank. Now, I'm a little embarrassed to say I quite misplay this opportunity with the Miltank, as I get a number of Sap Zipper boosts, but you'll see what happens. I use Curse as well to try to get my defense up, but since I failed to lay down sticky webs at the start of the match, it actually turns out to be faster than me after I go for a couple curses, and then I wind up losing the Miltank because of that. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. This is a bit of a stally part here as I'm just boosting up, and he's trying desperately to figure out how to damage me. And just because he went for Sleep Powder right after Energy Ball on my Sap Zipper leads me to believe that this guy does not really experiment too much with a variety of Pokemon, because that was a fairly noobish play that he pulled. So he gets the Poison Hacks with the Sludge Bomb, which is actually really crappy because it winds up making a big difference on whether or not I survived. And right there, I honestly should have gone for either Body Slam or Milk Drink instead of curing myself right away, because it wasn't toxic damage, so I wouldn't have gradually been taking more and more the more turns I sat in. So I lose my Miltank once it's at like plus 3 or 4 attack and plus 2 defense, so that was a huge misplay on my part. And I honestly thought I was going to lose after that happened. So I send in Butterfree, which is really my only option at the moment, even though I can't put it to sleep. And I'm actually able to scare it out into his Aerodactyl, which was quite fortunate for me. And it's going to take some damage from the Stealth Rocks as it comes in. So I just went for Quiver Dance because even if that Venusaur had attacked me with Sludge Bomb, I would have survived thanks to having Focus Sash on. So that would have been not a problem. I see Mega Evolves there, but I do put him to sleep with Sleep Powder since after the Quiver Dance boost I am faster than he is. So that's nice. Now, am I going to be able to take it out here before he wakes up is the problem. And this is where using Butterfree becomes a bit of a gamble because you have to sort of feel how long your opponent's actually going to stay asleep and how many Quiver Dances you should go for. But as you see there, he would have easily OKO'd me if not for my Focus Sash. And he switches out, fearing the imminent Bug Buzz, and goes back into Venusaur. I guess he was predicting me to go for Sleep Powder maybe, but I think I actually attack this turn. Oh no, I do go for Sleep Powder, so that was not entirely excellent right there. Oh, he's gonna double switch. I guess he was trying to force me to switch, thinking maybe I didn't want to lose my Butterfree. But I'm actually gonna stay in here and go ahead and attack with the Bug Buzz. And at +3 special attack, Bug Buzz is just gonna dispatch Scizor like no problem, so that's the end of him. I do not have Tinted Lens on this Butterfree. I prefer Compound Eyes in order to get the higher accuracy Sleep Powders, but he's gone into his Aegislash now, which is nicknamed Elucidator, which is what I consider to be a pretty badass nickname for that thing. But fearing the Shadow Sneak to knock my Butterfree out before I can put it to sleep, I went into Alomomola here, and it's just going to take that quite handily, even though it's a critical hit, and I'll do some chip damage with the Rocky Helmet and force him to switch out. He doesn't actually know that I have no attacks on this Alomomola, so he's probably fearing some sort of water attack, maybe a Scald that I'd hit his Aegislash with. But I'm just going to go straight for Wish and hopefully pass that off to one of my other pokes and get some health back. And you see that Alomomola actually has a massive HP stat. Even at level 50 he's got 272, which is not bad at all. And with Regenerator that makes him extremely hard to kill. So Fortress is going to take an Energy Ball, not a problem since I resist it, and the wish will come true. And my Fortress is back in fighting form. My only option here really is to lay down some more hazards, maybe to chip his stuff out. As he goes for Sleep Powder, but I actually have Overcoat on this Fortress, so he's basically not going to give a fuck about any sort of powders or anything like that. So he's going back into his Aegislash now, probably thinking he wants to set up. But did I predict him to switch? No, I think I did predict him to switch, okay. Honestly, I should have gone for Volt Switch right there. I don't know why I didn't. It was kind of stupid of me, but I'm going to go straight back into Golurk here and scare him out back into his Venusaur, and since he took the turn to switch, I'm able to actually land an attack on this fucker finally. I think I am anyway. Yes, there we go. Golurk used Earthquake. And that's going to take it out in one shot, which I was kind of surprised about, considering I don't get the Iron Fist boost on Earthquake. So he'll go back into his Latius here, which as I mentioned earlier is just going to die from Stealth Rock damage. This guy doesn't have any sort of spinner or cleric on his team. It's pretty much all-out offense, with the exception of Venusaur. But this thing's going to come back in, and fearing the Stone Edge or something, I'm going to pull out because that would do a lot of damage to me, even though I would resist it. And it turns out he went for Dragon Claw, which my Fortress is not going to give two shits about, as he got a critical hit, and I still only took like 30 damage from that thing. So now he's going to start dropping some Aerial Aces, just trying desperately to do as much damage as he can. But I'm just going to Volt Switch out of here and go into something else. And this is actually the first instance I've had cause to use Volt Switch on my Fortress to great effect as a sort of pivot maneuver. And it turns out to be actually a pretty good strategy against a faster opponent. So I do have to fodder off my Galvantula there, unfortunately. But I'll just go straight back into my Aloma Mola to Wish Pass off to my, what do you call it? Fortress again to make sure he doesn't die to a critical hit or something like that. So back out I go and back into Fortress, who will get the Wish on the following turn here, as this time he attacked with Stone Edge. And he does actually get a critical hit, but I survive quite handily thanks to Fortress's beastly defense stat. So now I'm going to be able to go for a second consecutive Volt Switch in a moment here, and once that happens, the battle should be mine. Down it goes. Or does he have one poke left? I think he has one left, actually. I'm not entirely sure what it is. Ah, matchup between Golurk and Aegislash. Now, I know he's going to go for a King Shield, hoping to get the attack drop on me. So instead of going for Shadow Punch or one of my other punching attacks, I just decided to go for Earthquake to get the indirect physical damage. And this turn he's forced to make a move because there's nothing else he can do, and unless he gets a critical hit, it's going to be a win for me since I'm almost, well, I am guaranteed to knock him out at this low level of HP. So he doesn't get a crit, I live with just under half health left, hit him with Earthquake, and take the game in my favor. So that was a very good battle against highly a team that appeared highly threatening at the start. But it just goes to show you that if you don't have any kind of support on your team, even the lowliest defensive Pokemon can actually plow through, well, not necessarily plow per se, but grind you down and eventually pull off the win. Now, and this dude had like over 700 battles too, which I was kind of amazed about. I think that he may just use this team and this team like exclusively for all of those games, which I honestly, yeah, I'm not gonna really rail on him too much, but I was glad that my really low tier team could actually pull through and prevail against that. So, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And with that, I will see you next time. Bye for now.